Hi there, it's Amanda Creative Gardener. So we're out in the garden and we're looking at the Scaevola. Now the Scaevola normally grows by the sea, but I've managed to get it grown in my garden, and we're very far from the sea, so but it's grown really well. It's not growing in its creeping habit that you normally see, but in some places it is. So I'll bring you on the journey. Let's go, and I'll show you how it is doing at the moment. Okay, let's go. Alrighty. So this is the main plant that's been growing, and I have taken cuttings from this. Ever since I planted it there. It started off as a cutting just like this, one piece, and as you can see it has grown really big, and as I've cut it back, so I've tried to keep it at this kind of height. That's the kind of height I want it, because I want to be able to see the trees behind to keep an eye on it. So I've got all of this to plant. This is one of the plants that I don't normally chop and drop. I use the Mexican sunflower to chop and drop. So I've been planting this around the garden, and I'm going to take you on the Scaevola journey. Just make sure there's no cobwebs. Oh, I dropped my tool. And I keep the path clear, so it grows this way, it grows this way, and it wants to spread. And at the moment, I had, a few months ago, I chopped off the top and planted them around the place. So now it's growing back, so I'm going to have to do the same. So let's go and see. Oh, sorry, I'm bending down to pick up my tool. Let's go and see where else it's growing. It does have these really pretty white flowers. They're not scented. And it has... I can't see any at the moment, but it has these little, before the flowers come out, it has these, and they're white, and that's basically the seeds. Sorry, the flowers come out, then those things, and then they drop, because basically, they want to reseed, so that's what they look like. Now, this plant, the leaves can be used for dyeing. You get a light green dye when you soak the leaves, and then the leaves turn it's almost like an indigo blue. It's really pretty. But I'm still learning in terms of eco dyeing, so I will have to let you know how I get on with dyeing some of these. I can see there are some holes in the leaves where I've got these, they're called African army worms, and they look like a caterpillar, but they're not, and I thought they might have been, but they haven't got the trademark antennae that caterpillars have, and it grows into a moth, I guess, basically. So let's look at some of the others that I've managed to plant. Okay, so the first cuttings I took, I put along here, because I wanted to create just like a little mini hedge on either side. In the centre, there's like a little, not a ravine, but you can see it's a little dip, and it leads all the way down to the well. And so they've grown really well. Apart from this bit, Cole, I was going to call him Sakani. Cole jumps, as you can see, backwards and forwards, and so that little bit there is the bit that doesn't get to grow. So this is done really well, and see, this is what the seeds look like. So they're usually carried, they drop and they get carried along by the sea, or depending on where they're growing. Usually grow on the beach, and they just find themselves. So this has grown quite a bit, and I need to maybe cut a bit back. Maybe, do I? I mean, it's not as if I do anything here, so actually it's not bad. yeah, so they're growing really well. And I've taken some cuttings and I've put at the front. I've got a nice big one growing at the front by my neighbour's fence. And I'll show you another place that I put it that I didn't think it would grow because there's very little soil there. There's practically none. The ones I put on this side didn't seem to take, but that's okay. This one's growing big enough, and the benefit that it is having is that the grass that would normally grow down the centre is not growing. So let's go and see the other one that is growing really well. So this is the kind of like borders around the house, and I mostly put the Mexican sunflower, but I put one of these here and look, oh my gosh, look at those spiders. So in the centre there must have been enough dead material for it to take, and it's doing quite well. It's not, the leaves are not as big as the other ones, they're a lot smaller, so you can see that the lack of nutrients means that it's not as big, but it is growing really well. And I had to cut it back a bit because it was, I want to keep the path clear. But I have managed to take more cuttings and put them up at the house. And what happens is you have to cut off everything, all the leaves bar, say, two right at the top. So if I was to take a cut in here, I would cut off all the leaves and then put this in the ground, literally just put it in the ground. I wouldn't take it from here, I would take it from more hardwood cutting. Where would I take it from? Let me show you. Yeah, like here, where it's turning, you can take it, or where it's brown. But look at the flowers, so pretty. It would be so wonderful if they were scented. The garden would be filled with aromas. But look at these. I'm not even going to call them beauties, but they're called like, not cross spiders. Or when I first saw them, I thought, oh my gosh, I've discovered a new creature. But they're spiders, and they build these these amazing nests, but they kind of, like a cross. But look at where it zigzags like a sewing machine. It's so cool. Anyway, I'm not going to disturb you guys. I found a lot of these spiders in the garden. Where else have I planted them? I don't think I've planted them anywhere else. But it's easy to grow. This is getting big. It's very easy to grow. I literally just take a cut in, cut them back, and stick them where I want. And they find themselves. But they have a trailing habit, so if I allowed it, they would just walk. You know what I mean? They would just keep moving forward. So, as I say, for me, where they are now, I mean, this one, because there's more water coming here at this end, because we're on a slope, this one is growing a lot quicker. And I guess if they get so wide, and I want to I can cut back and do chop and drop. But where they're either casting a shadow or where it's near, nothing else is growing, which is fine for me. Oh yeah, I put two. Let me use combs one way. I put a few here. I'd literally just taken a cut in, and I cut them all back, and they're growing there quite nicely. But that's it. So that's Scaevola, and I hope you try and grow it, because it is a really easy plant to grow, and It's hours of fun. But yeah, if you want something to grow quite quickly, it does grow. Once it gets over this stage, it will grow quite quickly. In the beginning, it does like, quite a bit of water, but not saturated with water. And it likes the sunshine. It's not one of those plants that it likes the sun or the shade. So I've got a plant at the front that gets morning sun, well, practically all day sun for where it is. And this one gets most of the sun and these get shade. And then the one back here, because of the shadow that the house casts, this gets mostly afternoon sun, but it's, doing really well. I guess it likes the soil. It's a clay soil, even though it grows mostly, on the sandy soils. So yeah, I definitely try it out. It's a nice plant that you can also use as a hedge, and it's easy to maintain. I haven't noticed many pests, but for all of your plants, especially if you're doing organic growing, then you need to just always check. So I've not lost. A few of them have got holes in. So what I have to do is just go through and check that it's not, like one of these pests that if it got onto another one of my plants, it would, totally decimate it. But also the good thing about this is that you can use it in dyeing practices. I did try it in a herbal tea, but the leaves are quite bitter because apparently you can eat the leaves, but the young leaves, but they're quite bitter. So I might have to look up a different recipe. Anyway, so take care for now, and that's the Scaevola, and I'm glad you could join me.